Hello, hello, hello. Peace, 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 peace. What's happening? What's going on? This your girl Tiffany. Come through here live in effect. Today I want to get into the topic about education. So oftentimes we hear in our community that education is very important, right? And we often talk about building on our own curricula, have our own school system where we control the narrative, tell the story, and teach our children and how our kids are not getting proper information from the public school system and how the public school is failing the children or whatnot. So, what's inspired me to talk about this today because a lady named Marvin Collins. Marvin Collins was a substitute teacher in the Chicago area. But while she was working for the public school system, she have noticed a lot of things and she came across a lot of errors and issues. And she tried to address it to the Board of Education, but they didn't want to hear it. Of course, they didn't want to, they weren't trying to solve any problems. So she felt like the students from the inner city community were not getting proper, they were not getting adequate education. They were not getting information that was going to help them to expand further in life. So, and then many of them were struggling to learn, and they were struggling with their reading skills. They were struggling with the grammars. They were struggling with math. Any subject field, a lot of them were not able to comprehend in a classroom setting. So she decided to take it upon herself to create her own school, which was on the west side of Chicago in the inner city area, to reach out to the kids in those community and take her time and dedication to help them with the homework assignment, whatever they needed help with. So many of them have grown up to become doctors, lawyers, and other profession in the fields. And they have learned so much from her to the point that they dedicated their life. They gave thanks to her for all that she has done and she has contributed. So my question is, why do people not talk much about Marva Collins, especially Umar Johnson? I mean, because I thought Umar talks about building a school and all of that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, you want to build a school, cool, that's fine. But why not learn from a lady that started a school? And she actually built her school from the ground up. And she started off as a substitute teacher. She became a tutor. Then she became an educator. That's just interesting to me. Let that sink. Allow that to sink in. You know, we always give support to people who don't deserve those support, but we don't take the time to acknowledge people who actually put their hard work and dedication, especially when it came to children in the inner city community. So again, I want to go ahead and get started. And thank you guys for those that have been watching my channel, those who've been subscribing and hitting the notification bell and all that great stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share the information for you guys. Let's talk about who Marva Collins is. Let's get into her biography. All right. So as you can see, that's a picture of Marva Collins. Now, who was she? Let me blow that picture up real fast. All right. So Marva Dolores Collins, her original last name was Knight. She was August 31st of 1936, and she died June 24th of 2015. She was an American educator. Collins is best known for creating Westside Preparatory School, a private elementary school in the impoverished Garfield Park neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois, which opened in 1975. Now, this is her early life. She was born in Monroeville, Alabama, to father Henry Knight, a businessman who owned a funeral home and worked with cattle, and to mother Bessie Knight. She grew up in Baltimore, Alabama, a small town near Mobile, Alabama, during the time of segregation in American South. When she was young, Collins went to a street elementary school in a one-room schoolhouse at Baltimore, Alabama, an experience which influenced her later in life. She graduated from Clark College, which is now known as Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, there's a picture of her again. Back in 2004, she took a picture with George W. Bush and his wife, Lady Laura Bush, back in 2004. That's her. Okay. So, her career. Collins taught school for 2 years in Alabama, then moved to Chicago in 1959, where she taught as a full-time substitute teacher in inner-city Chicago public school for 14 years. Westside Preparatory School. Dismayed at the low levels of learning that she felt some students were experiencing in particular areas, Collins took $5,000, a large lump sum of money at that time, from her own teacher's retirement fund and started a private school in the top floors of the brownstone in the West Garfield Park neighborhood where she lived in 1975. The school she started was called Westside Preparatory School. Westside Prep became an educational and commercial success. Collins created her low-cost private schools specifically for the purpose of teaching low-income Black children whom Collins felt the Chicago public school system had labeled as being learning disabled. Collins said she had the data to prove that the students were teachable and were able to overcome obstacles of learning via her teaching methods, which she said eliminate behavioral issues and allow students to flourish. Now, let's talk about learning disabled. When they use the term learning disabled, that means that the student have a learning disability, or how can I put this? I don't want to say it in an offensive way, but they're trying to say that when you have learning disabled, that means you're retarded. Basically, that's what they're trying to say, like these kids are retarded. But they ain't going to say it in a they're not going to say it in that manner. They're going to use the term learning disabled. But that's a dress-up term for people who are retarded. I mean, that's basically what they were trying to say, that these kids are too retarded. And she beat against those odds. She said, you know what? It's not that these children are learning disabled. You just got to know how to go about teaching them, how to go about educating them. Because everybody's teaching method doesn't work for a classroom. So some children can learn hand-on experience. Some children can learn by sitting in the class and listening to a lecture. It's dependent on the levels. So you got to go by using, some kids, you have to use some form of different type of technique that's going to help them to be more enthusiastic and be able to learn or have a passion or motivation to learn different subjects, especially if it's something that's one of their favorites. You got to know how to approach things, and you have to come with a better approach. You can't just teach one child one way and teach the other child this way. You think that everybody's going to learn the same thing, because they may not. So some child require participation. Some children, they can just sit in the classroom and just listen to the teacher talk all day. But let's go ahead and continue. Collins said she had the data to prove that students were teachable and were able to overcome obstacles of learning via her teaching methods, which she said eliminate behavior issues and allow students to flourish. The one-room schoolhouse of her education influenced her methods. At home, her father gave her assignments she believed built her confidence and gave her a sense of responsibility. She felt time spent with students was more valuable than distant creating audio-visual information. Collins and her daughter ran the school for more than 30 years until it closed in 2008 due to the lack of sufficient enrollment and funding. So Miss Collins ran her school from 1975 to 2008. That was over 35 years. That's a very long time. 35 years. However, because she didn't have enough enrollment and insufficient funds to keep the school going, she had to close it down. But she ran for a very long time. But let's continue. Media coverage. Collins became well known due to the 1981 TV movie based on her life's work entitled The Marva Collins Story, starring Cicely Tyson and Morgan Freeman. She also appeared on a feature news article on CBS 60 Minutes. Cicely Tyson, who played Collins in the TV movie, said she spent time with Collins to research for the role. The 60-minute feature was inspired by a 1970 article written by Chicago Sun-Times reporter Zay N. Smith about Collins and Westside Prep. Kevin Ross. In 1982, Kevin Ross, a 23-year-old Creighton University basketball player, got to his senior year of college without being able to read. With the assistance of a Creighton booster, Ross enrolled in a second grade at Westside Prep. With private tutoring by Collins, Ross learned how to read and graduated in May of 1983. Ross had difficulty continuing his education, but when he had serious trouble, Collins was instrumental in helping him. That's an inspirational story. Very inspirational. So, career highlights. Due to the success of her teaching methods, it was reported that President Ronald Reagan wanted to nominate Collins to the position of Secretary of Education, but Collins took herself out the running for the position. In 1983, Reagan cited Collins doing an unveiling of a national program to combat adult illiteracy. She was also asked by President George A.W. Bush to become Secretary of Education, but she declined in favor of teaching one student at a time. In 1994, Prince featured Collins in his music video for The Most Beautiful Girl in the World. He also donated $500,000 to the Westside Preparatory School Teacher Training Institute, which was created to teach Collins teaching methodology. So, if you guys remember the video what Prince did, which happened to be one of my favorite songs, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, at the end, she was sitting down and she got up and all the kids were surrounding her and whatnot. Yeah, that was her. She was in his video. And I kind of knew she was in the video because I kind of looked at her face. I said, that face looked familiar. But she was in the video and he donated $500,000, which is $500,000 to her school. That's a large donation. So he did a great job by doing so. In 1996, Collins was hired to supervise 3 Chicago public schools that had been placed on probation. In 2004, Collins received a National Humanities Medal among many awards for her teaching and efforts at school reform. During the 2006-2007 school year, Collins School charged $5,500 for tuition, and parents said the school did a much better job than the Chicago public school system, which budget $11,300 per student. $11,300 per student. My bad. The authorities complained that this was not enough. Teaching methods and critics. So, Collins was known for applying classical education, in particular the Psychotic method, modified for use in primary schools, successfully with impoverished students. Collins criticized the teaching of the students, not the students themselves. She wrote a number of manuals, books, and motivational tracts describing her history and methods. In 1982 and in subsequent articles, Collins had been criticized by George N. Schmidt from Substance News, who claimed that Collins' work was fraudulent. Collins denied any fraud at the time. Collins had both supporters and detractors. Well, you got haters in the mix. So let's look at the psychotic method. So what is the psychotic method, which was named after Socrates? So the psychotic method of, also known as method of Eulenchus or Elentic method or psychotic debate. It is a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and to draw out ideas and underlying presuppositions. It is named after the classical Greek philosopher Socrates, and it is introduced by him in Plato's Theaetetus as midwifery because it is employed to bring out definition implicit in the interlocutor's beliefs or to help them further their understanding. So it goes on to say the Socratic method is a method of hypothesis eliminated, and that better hypotheses are found by steadily identifying and eliminating those that lead to contraction or contradiction. The Socratic method searches for general commonly held truths that shape beliefs and scrutinize them to determine their consistency with other beliefs. The basic form is a series of questions formulated as tests of logic and fact intended to help a person or group discover their beliefs about some topic. Exploring definitions and seeking to characterize general characteristics shared by various particular instances. So basically, this teaching method teaches you how to critically think and how to analyze things and to come up with the answer versus just somebody giving you the answers and telling you what the answer is. So when you use the psychotic method, you're learning how to be able to process information and carefully analyze the information and be able to know how to go into the concept of answering the questions or being able to ask questions and be able to formulate an argument. So that's a very proficient way of teaching. There's many teaching methods out there, but this one's very proficient because they have helped allow her students to learn how to become strong thinkers and learn how to use critical analysis. So I say she has done a great job of using that type of method. That's what's up. He don't be advertising things he do like that. That's what's up. Oh yeah, Prince. Yeah, Prince don't. Nah, he didn't. See, Prince lived a very private life. You know what I'm saying? So he was a very private person. He was very low key. So a lot of people didn't know what was going on in his private life or what was going on behind the scene because he wasn't out there. He didn't expose himself or showboating around like the rest of them. Now, every now and then you might hear about the people who he was dating or he was involved with, etc. But everything that was going on behind closed doors, he didn't let media in on a lot of things. Same way with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was very private too. But of course, media got into his business about certain things, and he was accused of things and come to found out that the things wasn't true that he was accused of. But the thing is, yeah, Prince lived a very private life. He knew how to move. He was very quiet. So Michael Jackson was Jehovah's Witness as well. Michael Jackson grew up as a Jehovah's Witness too. So yeah, Michael Jackson grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So both of them were Jehovah. He was Jehovah's Witness and took it very seriously. Hence, very private. Yeah, he did. He was. He took a lot of things very seriously. He kept himself out the spotlight. And the only time he went into the spotlight is when it was time for him to do music or interviews, and that was it. But other than that, yeah, he kept himself out the spotlight. That's a lot of things that Prince have done that many people don't know about. Yeah, rest in peace to Michael Jackson and Prince. Yep. Very iconic artists during the time. They inspired a lot of artists of today. So they have made they created doors of opportunity. So also they were influenced by James Brown and Little Richard. So Little Richard and James Brown pretty much influenced them. So rest in peace to them as well. So yeah. But anyways, let me go ahead and get back to it. But yep, Prince donated $500,000 to Marva Collins School. He did. That's over $500,000. All right. So let's go back to our information. So this is her personal life and death. So Collins married to Clarence Collins from September 1960 until his death in 1995. Together they had 3 children, Patrick, Eric, and Cynthia. Collins died on June 24th of 2015 in Beaufort County, South Carolina, age 78, while in hospice care. Wow. Yeah, that's sad, unfortunately, that she passed in the hospice care when she should have been at home dying. But we never know what the family situation was. We don't know what's going on. We don't know why she didn't have the caregiver that she should have, as far as somebody being at home with her where she can die at home. But yeah, but she lived a life. She lived until 78 years old, and she dedicated her life to educating students. That's what she dedicated her life to. And she did it for a long time. Alrighty then. All right, so here's the works in publication right here at the bottom, and the videos that she did, and the awards that she received. In 1981, she received the Jefferson Award for Public Service, Award for Greatest Public Service Benefiting the Disadvantaged. In 1982, the Golden Plate Award of the American Academy in Achievement. In 2004, National Endowment for the Humanities, National Humanities Medalist, Alpha Kappa Alpha, honorary member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And so here's some more references at the bottom if you want to check out some more information. All right, here's the further reading. Here are the external links. All right. All right, then. So let me go ahead and show you guys some more information. Let's see. So I got some books here that was consist of her interview and one of the books that she had written. This book is called Conversation with Marva Collins, a different school from the human condition. Bert Kruger Smith, the interviewer. So it goes over the dialogues that she had with this interviewer, and she was basically talking about the preparatory school, what inspired her to start, why she did it, what was her reason. All right, so let's just look at the introduction. It says, one expects to find preparatory school nestled behind ivy covered walls on broad expanses of green lawn, usually in exclusive neighborhoods, not Westside Prep, which had its beginning in a converted office building in Chicago's ghetto. Nearby structure with iron gates on storefronts were testimony to the quality of life of the area. But inside the office to school building, amazing things went on. Marva Collins was at work, and students learned at a pace never dreamed of by a traditional educator. The school now has two buildings, purchased with proceeds of a book and movie of the Marva Collins story and support from a Chicago foundation, but quarters are still cramped and resources are still limited, and the waiting list for enrollment continues. Many of the original pupils were pushed out of public schools. They had poor grades and worse conduct at attendance records. They had been told they could not learn. They were labeled troublesome or disturbed or retarded. Didn't I tell you that the term learning disabled basically means retarded, disturbed? That's a fancy way of saying you're retarded. A correlation exists between learning difficulties and behavior problems. Poor learners are usually troublemakers, but with Westside's no-nonsense approach to education, these same youth began making significant strides in their intellectual development as they mastered new skills and new material. Their self-esteem grew, and they no longer had time for nor interest in mischief or violence. The uniquely successful program has made Mrs. Collins a celebrity. She has been interviewed on 60 Minutes, Good Morning America, and The Phil Donahue Show. Award winner Cicely Tyson portrayed the innovative teacher in a made-for-television movie. Mrs. Collins had been offered and has declined federal positions as Secretary of Education and as Director of Children, Youth, and Family Services. She has said no to appointments to the Office of Superintendent of Los Angeles School and head of the Chicago School Board. Check this out. She turned down an offer of $1 million to start a chain of Marva Collins schools. And she has received $50,000 endowed a dream award from the W. Clement Stone Foundation. So check, she turned down an offer of $1 million to start a chain of Marva Collins school. She has received $50,000 endowed a dream award from W. Clement Stone Foundation. Wow. Let's start right there. That's amazing. The fact that she had turned down positions. Because most people, when they're offered position as Secretary of Education or Department of Family and Children Services or something in that higher position up in the federal sense, they usually take it. But with Marva Collins, she was so dedicated. It showed that she was too dedicated in her work that she was not going to go higher up. She was not going to leave what she's passionate about to do something for the federal government. And they wanted her to open up chains of school in different areas, and she turned down that $1 million. So this woman was dedicated. This woman wasn't playing. She put her focus into her passion. Now, how many people you know that could do that? How many people you know that would be bold enough to say, I'm going to turn down this position from two presidents? Two presidents have offered it to her. It was Ronald Reagan and it was George H.W. Bush. Both of them offered her the position of Secretary of Education, and she turned them down. She turned them down. Now that's powerful. That's really powerful there. That's a bold move. That alone gives you a statement and show you where a person stands on what they represent. That's powerful. But let's continue. Um, So Collins quit her job as a public school teacher after 14 years and cashed in her $5,000 pension to buy books and desks to start her school. She tried to avoid her sixth graders going back to public school. She hopes to add secondary level classes through 12th grade soon. Juan Williams, The Washington Post of 1981. I tell each child simply, I will not let you fail. The child believes and succeeds. I tell him that I can't. It's a lie. He tells me I'll try. Marva Collins on 60 Minutes. That was November 11, 1979. All right. So we're gonna look over here for a little bit. It says a different school. A paragraph from a Washington Post article by Juan Williams reads, Marva Collins, teacher extraordinary, lives here on West Adams Street in a brownstone, a few broken bottles away from a vacant lot covered with bricks and garbage, houses with doors hanging off the hinges, and raggedy children running the streets begging change. Raggedy children. Wow. Hmm. Raggedy children. Okay. Interesting. But houses in this neighborhood have been neglected much the same way that lives of people that excuse me, the lives of people there have been neglected. If one person persists long enough and has patience enough to restore, repair, and refurbish a dwelling, it gives hope to others around. It's like a ripple that spreads until the entire block is involved. And the same principle applies to the people who call this section of the city home. When someone has the interest and makes the effort to reach them, rewards come back multiplied. Westside's preparatory school made such a special effort, and its teachers shared their interest. It began with Mrs. Collins as the sole teacher. She brought her own two children with pupils who had no place else to go, who had been pushed out of public school. The only things in abundance were hope, faith, and determination. The teacher hand wrote textbooks because there were no funds to purchase them. Funds are still insufficient for some purpose, but the school and the children have made remarkable progress. Sixth graders recently took a standardized high school level examination. The poorest scores averaged what a sixth grader would be expected to make, and the highest score recorded by several students placed these sixth graders on the level of college freshmen. We believe in teaching the total child to learn to like himself or herself, the world, the neighborhood. Ironically, the skills automatically come once people get that caring about themselves. And Mrs. Collins continued, the, the preparation of the teacher and the kinds of skills that a teacher brings to the classroom makes up 99% of the task that must be accomplished. First off, it is necessary to be human. One may have all sorts of skills, but too many of us have lost the ability to be human. And I think attitudes plays a very important part. Attitude is one of the first things I look for in teachers, not their degrees or how much experience they have. If they do not believe that they can perform, nothing else will come through anyway. I select those teachers who are human first before their degrees. I am not interested in what they did someplace else. Our school is antithetical to what everyone else does in America. We do what is best for the children there, and the children are the first at all times. So I look for those teachers who are willing to give a little bit. I look for a teacher who does not have to be told that the children are the most important people there. We have a saying in our school that the children are the big eyes and we are the little U's. The children have desks, but teachers do not have the luxury of desks. We move about among the children all day. I look for a teacher who is not bogged down in excuses for not getting a job done. I look for a teacher who does not give homework as punishment, a teacher who is always in control and does not get upset and lose control. I look for a teacher who is calm and who does not scream and yell, because when we scream and yell, the children know that we are out of control. Wow. So she stand firm on her position. She really stand firm on it. So that goes to let you know that there was no nonsense tolerated. If you gonna come to teach, you come to teach. Now, anybody that went to school, whoever recalled that your teacher ever told you that I'm not responsible for your learning. If you choose not to learn, that's on you. But I just come here to get a paycheck. Whoever heard a teacher say, well, I just come and get a paycheck, so I don't care if you don't want to learn. I remember hearing teachers say that all the time, especially in high school. They would tell high school students that they only come for a paycheck. They don't care about them not learning. And it's on them. Now that's a very counterproductive attitude. But it's one thing when you just tell the students you can leave my classroom, you would not be disrupting other students in my class, or you can go to the principal office. It's one thing to say that. But it's another thing when you tell students that you don't care about them not learning and the only thing you care about is getting a paycheck. Lots of them said that even worse things were said. Oh yeah, worse things have been said. You're right, Gullah. Worse things have been said. Let's not even go there. But the worst thing you could tell a child is, I came to get a paycheck. Because that child already knows that you don't give a flying fuck about their education, about them learning. So why should they care about learning when you just indicated to them that you don't care about them learning? So now you have caused a damage right there. You have shown that you are detrimental to that child's well-being by telling them that you don't give a damn about their education. You don't give a damn if they don't want to learn. And that you coming to get a paycheck. That's something that you should never say as a teacher. But again, there's a lot of them that done said it. I done been around them. I done heard them say it, and I just kind of look at them. I used to look at them with a face like, did you really just tell somebody that all you came for was a paycheck? Like literally a paycheck? But then that paycheck ain't gonna last you too long, because what happens if the student fails? What happens if the students don't pass their class? What happens if they don't pass the standardized test? You ain't gonna get no bonus. You ain't gonna see that paycheck. You might be out of a job because you weren't doing what you were supposed to as a teacher. You was not doing what you were supposed to as a teacher, because when it comes to the scores of the standardized test, that's going to determine whether you're going to still get government fundings or not. Whether you get funding from the county, the state, etc. And if your students are not doing well in school and you have low enrollments and you have too many kids dropping out of schools, guess what's going to eventually happen? The teacher's going to be out of a job. The principal's going to be fired. The superintendent is going to be fired. And the school's going to be closed down. So again, that's the worst thing you want to say as a teacher, that I came for a paycheck, because that'll backfire on you. It'll be used against you. You know, you never want to tell the student that. You never want to let them know That's what you came for. Because then they already got in their mind that, okay, this person don't give a damn. This person already told me where he or she stands. But anyways, getting back to the book. So she said the team of founder and teachers is firm with students, but they can and do tolerate a wide variance of behaviors a child go through before coming to feel totally accepted and wanted. As children reach to like themselves and then others, they will go through belligerent phases where they challenge authority. I always told people this is my way. They have to find their own ways, but mine has worked for me. The more a child says to me, I hate you, I will continually reply, I love you. And the child will repeat, I hate you. I continue to reply, I love you. If you knock me on the floor, I am going to get right up again and help you anyway. I think for the first time in that child's life, he has not had an equal battle. Mm. The acceptance of challenging behavior and the highly structured program would seem to be a contradiction, but they are not. What makes a difference is the personal caring that the students in Westside Prep receive. The determination mentioned earlier is one important factor that gives the children security in the structure and the knowledge that they can rely on their teachers. Mrs. Collins recalled. One child took a year to read Jane Eyre. She tore the book. Her nose bled in the book. She ripped out pages. Every time she destroyed one, I bought another copy. She now reads avidly, and she tells me she will never forget me nor Jane Eyre. But her last copy was so tattered, she is leaving school at the end of this year. I am wrapping it and giving it to her as a year-end gift. It is a story she will remember and tell her children. I never gave up. I don't give up on children. Much of the children's thirst for new things to study is due to Collins' enthusiasm for her profession. Most important, though, it is that she believes in her students. She has to show that you believe in them, that you know there's nothing they can't do. Paul Martin, once teacher triumph, Success Unlimited, in Chicago, W. Clement and Jesse V. Stone Foundation, 1980. Students face strong challenge in the curriculum. They tackle high school algebra in the 6th grade. They read Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, among others. I ain't never read that in school. They study biology and political science. The first reading lesson for the youngest students, 4-year-old, is Little Red Hen. The moral from the story is that one does not get to eat if one does not work. That sounds familiar, right? If one doesn't work, one doesn't eat, right? If a man that don't work, a man that don't work is a man that don't eat. The goal for these beginner is to be reading in 4 months. So therefore, her students was already advanced. She already prepared them because they was reading above their grade level. They was reading above their grade level. But the saying goes, one that does not work does not get to eat. One that does not work does not get to eat. A man that don't work is a man that don't eat. And that's the reality of life. If you don't put work or if you don't put effort into doing something with your life, you won't eat. You won't eat. You won't survive. You can't sit around and just wait for something to come along. You got to put work and you got to put effort into it. You got to be a go-getter. That's the whole concept of it, being a go-getter. All right. All right then. So that's that information. That's that book. Again, let me show it to you guys if you guys want to look it up and check it out for yourself. This book here is called A Conversation with Marva Collins, A Different School. Okay. From the Human Condition, Bert Kruger Smith interviewer. All right, so I have another book for you guys. Alrighty then. So this is a book that she has written. Return to Excellence in Education, Marva Collins Way. Marva Collins, Silva Markin, forward by Alice Haley. Okay. So this book came out in 1990. All right. So it goes more about her life and her school and being able to teach the students or whatnot. So you guys can check out her book. It's called Marva Collins Way. And if you guys are interested in looking more into this lady and the teaching method that she has used to help students along the way. So you guys can look into that for yourself. Okay. All right. So that's all I have for today. But again, this woman has been a strong inspiration to a lot of people, especially those in our community. She has shown that it is possible. You can make the impossible possible. You can start from the ground zero to work your way up. And this lady have shown that she has worked in with inner city children who would consider to be troublesome, retarded, inadequate, disabled, etc. She had taken her time to educate these kids on the roughest part of Chicago, on the west side. She was in the roughest area, opened up a school to inner city children. Now that's dedication. That's work. And she has turned down position. She has turned down opportunities that she was given. She turned them all down. She said, nah, I'm good on that. That's being dedicated. That's giving back to your community. That's a way to really give back to your community. That's a way of showing that you actually care, especially when it comes to children. And you can't say this woman never gave back because obviously the kids are doing well. The kids that were her former students, they have progressed and they have advanced and became something. Now, I will say that just because somebody go to a good school doesn't mean that they're going to make good choices in life or they're going to make productive choices. That doesn't mean that they're going to turn out in the professional field. Some people go into a different path in their life and some go down into the path of destruction. But at the end of the day, that doesn't have anything to do with the teaching themselves. It has something to do with that person and the choices they made. But there are those who take information that has been given to them and they apply it and make something useful of it, and it helps them to become better. It helps them to grow. So I think this woman has done a phenomenal job. It's sad that she is unsung and she has not earned her recognition or her respect as a teacher, as a person that was a philanthropist in her own right, an entrepreneur, a person that gave back to her community. Those are the kind of people that we should recognize. Not these people who go around here taking folks' money and say they're going to do X, Y, Z just to make themselves look good. Not these people who give you a bunch of promises of opening up a school and it'd be 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now that you hear from them. Or that you ever see the school open up. But shout out to those who do have a school. Shout out to the brothers and sisters that's out there doing the work. There's so many lists of names. And that's list of Pan-African schools or schools that center around Pan-African culture, ideology, schools that's in particularly in the African-American community that's owned by private individuals. Shout out to those individuals that's keeping those schools going, keeping the education going, because again, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I want to say shout out to Q Butter. Shout out to Brother Q Butter because he's doing a great job, I believe, even though he's going through some challenges, but that comes with the territory. But guess what? This man is really putting his dedication on the line to help the African-American youth out there in New York and those in the Atlanta area. But he's basically located in New York and he's doing a lot of work. And he doesn't get a lot of help like he should. He doesn't get a lot of funding like he should. But he's putting his best foot forward and he's doing what he can. He's actually dedicating his life to the people and to the young people at that, especially those who come from a disadvantaged background, those who come from the inner city, who come from broken homes or whatnot. I think he's really doing a good job. So shout out to that brother. I hope he continues the great work that he's doing. But anyways, with that being said, you guys, this is your girl Tiffany, and I am logging off. So I hope you all have a good one. Please stay safe and be careful out here. And I will reconnect with you all later. All right. So make sure you subscribe to hit the notification bell, share the channel, check out the other contents on there, share the videos to people. And shout out to the new subscribers. Thank you guys for coming through. All right. Take it easy. Peace.